This is your host, Dub FFG, with the Fantasy Football GOAT Strategies. How's it going today? Today, we're going to talk about Week 5. Let's get to it. As always, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button because you know it helps out with the algorithm and you know it helps our channel grow. We really appreciate it. First up, let's recap Week 4. Now, in Week 4, the Dolphins, who beat down the Broncos the previous week, took a beat down themselves at the hands of the Bills. But they'll be okay. We're not expecting any team to go undefeated this season, so the Dolphins just happen to take that loss against a divisional rival. They're probably going to split one win, one loss for each team. The Falcons, they still have questions. Many questions, particularly at their quarterback, because they didn't give him enough chances to play last season. Now this is the season that's somewhat his rookie season, so he's somewhat struggling, but understandably so. So when you don't give your quarterback enough time to play in a season that he should play in, now you're following up and hoping him to be the magic man, and he can't be that. So they still have questions, and hopefully they get some answers. Christian McCaffrey, CMC, he goes off against the Cardinals, 4 touchdowns and a number of stats to go along with it. So CMC, he's still doing his thing. Our hot reads from Week 4, we went up by 25%. Week 4 was at 80% success rate, and that's definitely where we want to be, 70% and above. So we're 10% better than where we want to be at the very minimum. Good things for us. Here's a word from our sponsors. When you look in the mirror, do you see a GOAT? Are you the best that fantasy football has to offer? If so, then wear it on your chest. Fantasy Football GOAT Strategies has new arrivals for the new fantasy season. See the link in the description or scan the QR code. Pick up your gear now. Fantasy Football GOAT Strategies. Week 5. Here are our hot reads. CJ Stroud versus the Falcons. Puka Nacua versus the Eagles. Lamar Jackson versus the Steelers. Josh Jacobs versus the Packers. Raheem Mostert versus the Giants. Tua versus the Giants. Derrick Henry versus the Colts. Joe Mixon versus the Cardinals. Brian Robinson Jr. versus the Bears. And Devontae Adams versus the Packers. Our IDP and DST, we're looking at the Dolphins defense versus the Giants and Quay Walker versus the Raiders. Week 5 overall, below 500 teams, you got to swing for the fences. Set a high risk lineup, meaning you're setting a lineup that you're expecting big plays from or big scores from that particular player. As well for this week, similar to Week 3, expect big scores from the fantasy players and the NFL as a whole. Because this simply that week is a good matchup for teams to go off. Someone like the Dolphins versus the Giants, Tua, Hill, Waddle, A-Chain, and more. Those guys should have big days. So if you have those guys, you should already be starting them regardless. But they should definitely have big days. Even CJ Stroud versus the Falcons, he and Nico Collins, maybe even Dameon Pierce and Dalton Schultz. Again, Falcons have a lot of questions they have to answer. And the Texans are simply finding their stride as a young team. Young quarterbacks can help you. Someone like Jordan Love, Stroud, Dobbs, those guys can help you if you're struggling, if you're below 500. Particularly if you have someone like Burrow, or if you're still trying to replace Aaron Rodgers, Zach Wilson, not necessarily the answer, but he could be a good fill-in for a week or two. So Jordan, Stroud, Dobbs, someone of that nature, they can help you out. The big game of the week, Dallas versus San Francisco on Sunday night. Even though these teams are the top defenses in fantasy football and in football in general, you still play them. Even though you may expect a tight game between these two, the 49ers have won, the last 2 or 3 games that they played, but each game came down to the final drive. So expect something similar. The defenses may not have as many turnovers, but it's going to be stout. So keep your defenses in regardless of the matchup. Dallas, play Dallas defense if you have them. San Francisco 49ers defense, if you haven't, played them as well. If you're winning above 500, you're undefeated, keep hunting. All you're doing is risk management. Again, big scores this week, big scores from the fantasy players, great. Again, high risk for those that are losing, risk management for those that are winning. This is the week to make a change. Before you devour your prey, pray for it, so you can have a nourishing fantasy meal. This is your host, Dub FFG, Week 5. See you next time. Question: Is your NFL team winning the Super Bowl this season? If so, then you better get your new gear for the new season. NFL Shop is providing with your new favorite team's apparel this season. Use the link below or scan the QR code to see a huge inventory of NFL teams apparel. Discount codes will be available throughout the season, so use the link. Shop now.